Hey, Mike Healy here, and I think you're going to get a lot of value out of this video. It might be a little controversial, might ruffle a little feathers, but I think you're going to get to it and enjoy it anyhow, okay? So here's what it is I went around one time and I polled a bunch of people that were in network marketing, and I asked them what the top 5 problems they were having were. And I did this in front of large groups. I've done this one-on-one and so on. And the number one thing, without a question, it came back was, how do I get my people to duplicate, okay? So what the controversial thing is that I'm about to say to you is that duplication is a myth. Okay, duplication is a myth. You will stress yourself out, go crazy, want to shoot yourself if you try to figure out what motivates people. Okay, because there is no such thing as duplication. Okay, that's what I'm gonna say. Here's what I figured out though, because I was always looking to figure out how to duplicate my people. That wasn't the key. Okay, and I'll give you the perfect example of this is people are always going to do what they want to do when they want to do it. And you can't control any of it. No matter how hard you try, no matter how many times you lead that horse to water, they are going to do what they want to do. The thing that people are really saying is, I want my business to get bigger, faster. That's what duplication ultimately means in your head when you're talking to somebody. Okay, so let me explain how I fixed this. The thing that I understood was people were going to do it when they wanted, with who they wanted, and so on, at their own pace. I'll give you a dumb story to explain it, and I'll keep it real short because I can make this story long, but I'm going to keep it short. I always did it from this story standpoint. There was a farmer who had a farm that he was making millions and millions of dollars because he had a large cattle farm of dairy cows, right, that were producing milk. Guy up the street wanted to be just like him, and he went out and started a farm, and he got 5 cows, and he kept wondering why he wasn't making the money that this guy was making. And he went to the farmer, asked him all these tricks, all the things. What should I feed him? How should I do this? How do I, what temperature should I keep the barn? All those crazy things, everything he could think of to figure out the techniques. And this rich farmer looked at him and said, if you want to get more milk, you got to get more cows. Period. Okay. Now, where it comes down to this making a point here and not just being a dumb story, is that what I had to learn how to do, and you have to learn how to do, is become the best recruiter you can possibly be. I'm going to prove it to you in another story. True story. I sat down with a guy who was making, I think he was making $15,000, $20,000 a month in a company I was in. He did it in about a year's time, was just crushing the thing, and I couldn't figure out why I wasn't making any money. And so he pulled out his downline report and he said, hey, I want to show you something. I said, what's that? He said, you see how many people I personally enrolled? It was like 1 page of paper, because that was before we had computers. It was still on a piece of paper. And he said, look at that. And the guy had sponsored like 85 people. And he said, now next to him, each one showed the amount of people that they had sponsored, and was 0,001, 2, 0, 40, 001, 20, 08, 5, 6, 3, 0, and you get the point, okay? And then I went to the people that they had sponsored, like the guy that sponsored 20 or 30 people, and I looked, same scenario. Here's what I understood. Here's what you have to understand, and that will drive you crazy if you think that you can get a 1 gallon cow to produce 20 gallons of milk. It will not happen. So what I learned how to do, and what I have proven every time I've ever joined a company when I was still in networking, was that if I could if I could just personally recruit, everything else fell into place, because I would find the cow, the person, not to belittle a person by calling him a cow, but I would find the person that I didn't have to focus all these the time, tension, and tools, new techniques, and get them to every single training. They would go out there and just hammer the thing. The reason you're seeing people out there that are succeeding is not that they have magical duplication techniques. In my opinion, it's because they recruited more personals than you did. And that's it. They've just talked to more people, and they found a guy that says, yeah, I'm ready to go get to work. I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to go make money. And you plug them into a few simple things, and they go out and make the business happen, okay? I in every company, the first company I ever did, I sponsored 40 people in 4 years. 40 people in 4 years. My downline report was 3 pages long with like 30 people on a page, okay? The next company I got in, I sponsored 50 some people in like 2 years, and my downline report got up to like 20 pages. And then I got to the point that I learned how to recruit good enough that I was personally, anything I ever joined was sponsoring over 100, 200, 300 personals in it. as fast as I could, because I knew that the right people would show up, and I never even focused on duplication. I put tools out there, I gave suggestions, but it literally ultimately came down to that I couldn't force somebody to a 1 gallon cow to go out there and produce 10 gallons of milk. So I didn't focus on that. I only focused on the thing that would work, and that was putting more people personally in, because that was the only thing I could control. That was the only thing I could control. And by becoming a master recruiter, a master lead generator, a master guy, getting people to look at the business and say, this is what we have, this is what it does, here's the benefits, are you in? If they joined, great. And I would give them just enough material to get started, but then I moved on. I know plenty of top guys that if you actually went behind the curtain and sat down with them one-on-one, would probably say the same thing. I mean, I heard Jordan Adler say it on a call. I know Jordan, and he said it on one of the calls that he did with Art Jonak. Art Jonak was interviewing, and he did basically the same thing. It was just boom, boom, boom. If you learn how to be a good recruiter and focus on that task, and that task alone, everything else falls into place. And if you really want duplication, here's what you do. You show people how you recruit. That's where duplication comes from. There is a myth in what people want. They're asking the right question, but they're not peeling the onion back to figure out what the real true success is. If you want more milk, you got to get more cows. That's all there is to it. The very first training I ever went to back in 1994, I drove from Columbus, Ohio to Atlanta, Georgia with a handful of guys to go see a training that a guy did, and I wrote it down. I still have those notes to this day, and I remember the guy said, you can't control how many tomatoes a tomato plant produces. You can only control how many tomato plants you plant. That's what he said. I wrote that down, and it was ingrained in me from that point on, and I understood that. And why I see so many people out there that are in network marketing for years and years and years and still aren't succeeding, or in sales or whatever, is because they're only trying to get milk out of a cow that won't produce any milk. Go find more cows. That's all you got to do. If you go out there and just focus, that's your 100% focus, bang, 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 bang. That's where you will get successful. Okay, that's the only way I've ever seen it work. And when I really focused on that, the last 10 years, I was never less than 6 figures in any company I'd ever been in. Sometimes way, way more than that. Okay, but it was because of that. So duplication's a myth. Don't fall for what they're saying that people are going to duplicate. You figure out how to be the best recruiter you can, and then lead by example, and the duplication, quote unquote, naturally follows. That's all I ever did. Is I just went out there and I hammered it, and I put people in, and put people in, put people in, put people in, and the ones that wanted to do it raised their hands. The one that didn't, if they ever needed me, I was there for them, but I wasn't going to babysit. I wasn't going to drag somebody across the finish line, because that's what wears people out. That's why people get frustrated in sales, networking, whatever you want to call it, and so on. So hopefully this tip didn't get you, ruffle your feathers too much, but really gave you some truth, because I've done it. It works every single time if you focus on that. Become a great recruiter. Everything else will fall into place. Thanks.